Yo, what's good, everybody? And thank you for tuning in to another Tyler Perry Sistas review. This is season 5, episode 3, entitled No Stress. If this is your first time coming to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning family member, you already know what it is and what it always will be. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, comment if you choose to. If not, just sit back, relax, and we're going to get into this thing. Now, I'm not sure how I'm going to do this review as of yet, but it'll flow how it's supposed to flow. Um, this episode didn't do it for me, but I'm gonna try my best not to go into any rants, okay? I can't promise you anything, but my intent is not to do that. So, we pick up where we left off. Danny pops up at the penthouse and she sees, Andy and Gary getting it in. He runs to the restroom and this is a continual thing, this trope with the women popping up and they show up while another friend is having sex and that friend makes the man leave. I don't know where they get that from. That's just not a thing for me and my friends, but we don't barge into each other's homes unannounced. We don't do that. So basically, I'm not understanding still this thing with Andy and Gary is something, but she goes to the restroom and they kind of have like this little, back and forth or whatnot. And she basically tells him that he has to go. He brings up Robin and I'm not sure what's going on with them. I guess it's going to be a to be continued, you know what I'm saying, with them. So Andy comes out and basically her and Danny have this conversation and she's like, have you heard from anybody, what's going on with Sabrina? So Andy had made some phone calls, but Andy was so concerned with having sex with Gary, she has missed calls from people who was basically calling her to give her the information concerning Sabrina. And so Danny basically was telling her, like, you don't care about your friends. She asked Andy, have you called Karen? And I agree with them both. I saw both sides. Basically, Andy was like, I was going to call her tomorrow. Not that she needed to tell Danny, hey, I've been calling her all day. She hasn't been answering my calls. So I went up to her salon to see how she was doing, to check on her, but she wasn't there. She didn't have to go into that because it's none of Danny's business. But I do understand Danny's approach to Andy. And y'all know I've always said I don't think Andy is a great friend. And I got some more to say about that. But Sabrina and Danny talk every day. So it's a difference because Danny hasn't heard from Sabrina. Sabrina and Andy doesn't talk every day, so it's not a big thing. And if you notice in the episodes, Andy was almost kind of downplaying the fact that Danny hadn't heard from Sabrina. It was like, oh, she's going to be okay. I'm sure there's nothing going wrong. But no, I talk to her every day. It's not like her. I know something is going on. So that's basically the dynamic or the disagreement or the conversation that Andy and Danny are having at this moment. So the one thing I didn't like about this whole thing is that, and just summing up their stuff, because there was a lot of Danny and Andy in this episode. What got me was, and I understand that Andy was frustrated or whatever the case may be, because Danny showed up again because she needs to know what's going on with Sabrina. So we find out that Sabrina is in jail. Of course, the audience knows that. And she has been charged and it's a federal case. So it's really nothing that Andy can do. However, what I did not like was she was telling Danny, I'm a divorce attorney. This is criminal. I said, hold up, Heffa. You wasn't screaming that you were a divorce attorney and it was a criminal case when you had such an urgency to help Fatima when it came to Zach ass. But now when it's your friend, your sister, now you want to pull out your ass that you're a divorce attorney. I said, I bet not see Andy try to help Zach anymore if he gets into trouble because you're a divorce attorney, right? So you have that same energy. I didn't like that. But I think to me that further reiterates the type of friend that Andy is to the women who she considers her friends, her sisters. And I just didn't like that. That's just me. And so Calvin and Chris. So Calvin goes to the club and, he still is oblivious to what's going on with Maurice. Chris fills him in. Basically, Maurice got arrested. Q is set him up, so on and so forth. So Calvin is basically like, well, I'm going to go home. I'm going to beat his ass, so on and so forth. And Chris, I'm sorry, that it was so funny. He was like, basically, I heard what happened at the restaurant. I'm going to come with you because I used to play football in my boy days and you might need some help because we all know, that Calvin cannot fight worth a damn. And the crazy thing is, he's always the one initiating these things, and then he ends up getting his ass beat as we see what happens between him and Q. Now, this is what got me. So Calvin and Chris go to Maurice's house. Soon as he comes in, he's yelling, Q, Q. I said, baby, the house ain't but so big. The apartment ain't but so big. Why are you screaming like that? Just go and knock on Maurice's door, because you know he in here. He ain't got no place else to go. You know he's here, so why you yelling like that? So they go to Maurice's room, knock on the door. Q is in the bedroom with a woman. Q don't care who he sleep with. Q is so selfish. He's all about self. We already know this. So Q ends up telling on himself because they never mentioned that Maurice was in jail. Q did. Because, of course, he's the one who orchestrated this whole plan to set up Maurice and Sabrina. So Calvin throws the first hit. I saw somebody say that Calvin was holding his own, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. Q beat his ass. Q beat his natural ass. And Chris was supposed to be there for support. It was like having two Calvins in the house. What the hell was he there for? I'm like, you got all this body, you got this height, you got this weight on you, and you're watching Calvin get towed up. You didn't do nothing. You didn't do anything. And when he did try to do something, it was almost too late, because Calvin, you know what? Y'all know how Tyler had hated him with that black eye for all them episodes. Calvin's face better be messed up come next Wednesday, because Q told his face slap up. I better see a bruise, a busted lip, a black eye, something. He better not come in there looking like he always look. But you already know he probably ain't gonna have not a scratch on him. And I wouldn't even, it would be typical Tyler. In typical Tyler fashion, he wouldn't even have a scratch on him. But basically, Q tells him, and it's funny because Q got all the balls in the world. Like, that's his house for real. He tells Calvin he's not going anywhere. He got a warm bed and he called the girl the B word, and he ain't going nowhere. And Calvin was like, let me find out you set them up. I'ma F you up. I said, no, you're not. Calvin, no, you're not. I need Tyler to start writing for Calvin to get in these fights, because it's embarrassing. It is embarrassing. Calvin can't fight. Tyler, leave that man alone. Anthony, brother, I feel for you, because I know you probably got them hands and your body is so amazing. But Calvin, Jesus Christ. Moving right along. So I'm going to talk about, for those who do not watch Fatima, a lot of people were confused about who this Deja person was, so let's get into that. This is probably not going to be a long review because there wasn't a lot of things happening. So Deja is a character on Fatima. She is a tenant of Zach. So everybody know, he kind of had that duplex. He had that other side that was empty. Deja is the person who he rented to. Deja is a nail tech by day and an exotic dancer by night. She is highly attracted to Zach. Zach is attracted to her as well, but he is in a relationship. There was, they have crossed the line in the sense of just giving y'all a little tidbit, a little background. Zach went to a party. Deja was entertainment. She was dancing up on him. He definitely loves what he sees. He does. But, he hasn't gone there with her. But if he wasn't with Fatima, he definitely would be sliding up in Deja. Let's just be clear about that. So we see Deja, Fatima, and Zach at the gym. So just giving y'all a little tidbit. But before we get to there, there's another scene. There's a scene with Fatima and Zach, and basically they're starting their day. She's getting ready to go to the gym. She doesn't want to talk about Karen. Zach wants to talk about Karen. Fatima's like, I prayed, basically I'm centered. I'm ready to start my day, and I don't want to talk about your ex. I want to have a good day. And she gives us a little background about her family. She was raised by her grandmother. I'm assuming it's supposed to be Mabel Simmons, a.k.a. Ma to the damn DEA. I said, so Madea finna be her grandmama? That's what we doing, Tyler? It seemed too much for me. It just seemed too much. So we find out, she has this cousin who is the person who set up the thing for Hayden to get beat up. And her cousin lives this life of crime. And her cousin wanted her to follow in her same, life path. But Fatima decided to go another way, so on and so forth. And I guess this is where we're going to be introduced to Madam. And for those who do not watch All the Queen's Men, Madam, you don't play with Madam. And, people, I've seen a lot of comments. Oh, I see how Fatima and Madam are related because let me tell y'all something. For those who, if you haven't watched all the Queen's Men, and for those who do, and you can, be non-biased, Fatima is nothing like Madam. Madam is very meticulous, and Madam is very smart when it comes to how she goes about her business. When it comes to Fatima, the things that Fatima does is stupid. I think Fatima strongly relies on her emotions when she's making decisions. That's why I would never put her and Madam in the same conversation. Fatima, she put hands on people, but I'm like, she ain't in nowhere near when it comes to thinking out things and doing it in a very, what way I want to say, meticulous way, but doing it in a thought out way. She has an emotion and she acts on it, and then she thinks about it later. Madam, check out all the Queen's Men on BT Plus if you haven't seen it. It's a great show. I believe it's based on a book by Christian Keys, who is, we know he's just a blessing to look at. But anyway, back to the review. So, Fatima don't want to talk about Karen. Zach is like, hey, are we going to talk about, are we good? We going to talk about what happened? She don't want to go there. So, they decide they're going to go to the gym, whatever. So at the gym, as you guys saw or didn't see, Deja was trying to get hit on Zach right in front of Fatima, and she's been doing that constantly on Zatima. She's been very disrespectful toward their situation. She didn't know Zach had a woman at first because Zach didn't tell her, and it was already an attraction there. But once she found out that Zach was in a relationship, she still did not cease and desist her advances towards him. So she's been doing things like she unhooked her battery so Zach could come and look at her battery. Now all these things are happening in her apartment to get Zach over there. Now, mind you, they're right next door, but Deja does not care. You know what I'm saying? Now, on Zatima, Fatima has put hands on Deja already, okay? I'm not a fan of it. Fatima always putting hands on somebody. I'm like, somebody need to say what you want to about Karen. She get on my nerves too when it comes to her disrespect towards Fatima. But initially, before all that stuff happened, I was glad she went toe to toe with her, because Tyler just got it like everybody is afraid of Fatima, and I'm not a fan of it. So basically, I did appreciate what Zach told Fatima. She wanted to talk about Karen. He didn't want to, but it's like, no, I want to talk about it, so you gonna talk about it. And one of the things I do not like about their relationship is a lot of things came out when it comes to Fatima. Certain things I've already stated from the beginning about how there are some insecurities that Fatima has, even if it came from a previous relationship. And so I think for me, I have never seen Fatima, the character, like a lot of people I know who rocks with her, sees her. I've never seen her in that light. I've always put her in the same boat as the other women on this show. I see a woman who has been broken, who has been damaged, who has been hurt by someone, and she's trying to find her way. She has a wall up. No different than the other women. She doesn't always make the best decisions, just like with the other women. Because if it was anybody else and it wasn't Zach, and they had been through the same stuff that Fatima has experienced in the little time that she has been with Zach, people will be telling her to leave him the hell alone. But because it's Fatima and because it's Zach, it's okay. She gets a pass. And y'all already know I'm not that reviewer who esteems Fatima in that way. She on the same playing field as the rest of the women in my opinion. So we see Aaron comes. Now, I do agree with Zach. I don't know what the hell Aaron wants to talk to Zach for. There is nothing they need to communicate about. Aaron is not in a relationship with Karen. I could see you trying to, I guess, protect your woman, but that's not the case here, sir. She's not with you. You're not with her. You guys are not committed. The only thing that you and Zach have in common is that both of them don't know who's the father of Karen's unborn child. But other than that, there is nothing that they need to talk about. I do understand what Aaron was attempting to do, but in my opinion, it just wasn't his place to do so. So basically, he just wanted Zach to know, like, I don't think we should be stressing out Karen. And the reality is, Karen is stressing out herself. Zach isn't calling her. Zach isn't paying any attention to her. She's the one who is putting herself in his path, calling him, cussing him out, cussing Fatima out, which I'm not a fan of, because like I've stated several times, Fatima has never initiated any type of disrespect towards Karen. It's always on Karen end, and then Fatima responds, you know what I'm saying, accordingly. And even not accordingly, because of all the people she should have probably put hands on, it definitely should have been Karen, because Karen is reckless when it comes to her mouth. And Fatima, the disrespect is just another level. Calling this woman out her name several times when she literally has not done anything to Karen. So Fatima tells Zach, like, yeah, listen, it might be important. And it's like, well, wait a minute. This morning, you ain't want to talk about her, but now you want me to listen to this? So I do understand Zach's frustration when it comes to Fatima in this entire Karen situation. Now, this is why Zach is an asshole. Zach is an asshole. Zach is a prick. Y'all know I don't like Zach, but I can tolerate him. But when he brought up the fact of Aaron's wife and how she died and attempting to be funny with it, if I was Aaron, I probably would have punched him in the face. And so I understand a lot of sides in this. I understand where Zach was coming from when it comes to Aaron. But the one thing I've always stated, I do not understand the energy that Zach has when it comes to Aaron. Zach treats Aaron like Karen treats Fatima. Aaron has never disrespected him. Aaron has never come out the way at him. That they have had a fight. They have. However, he's never disrespected Zach. Zach has always initiated a type of like negative energy when it comes with him and Aaron has never like done anything. He's always on 10. He's always disrespectful. Aaron was like, hey, Fatima, no, don't do that. Don't do that. I'm like, first of all, calm down. Aaron don't want Fatima, okay? In no way, shape, or form. Don't even do that. He's being respectful. He's acknowledging that she's there. He's not like you and your disrespectful ass. But anyway, Aaron goes away, with the whole, gun shot thing, which Zach was like, that's triggering to me. And I understand because he was there. He got stabbed. Karen had to shoot Bean, which was Fawn's, Aaron's ex-wife, brother. She put about 5 bullets in his ass. So we know this situation. But how Zach was intending it to hit Aaron, this is the second time or the third time he's brought up Fawn's death in a very negative, disrespectful way. So Aaron leaves. So now Zach and Fatima are going back and forth. And she asked Zach, is he still in love with Karen? And he's like, we wake up, you ask me about Karen. I go to sleep, ask me about Karen. We you ask me about Karen.
I gotta fight every night to prove my love.
And I understand like he's getting sick and tired of that. Do I believe that Zach is in love with Karen? Absolutely not. Do I believe that Zach loves Karen? I absolutely do. Do I believe that Zach started a situation / relationship with Fatima before he actually dealt with his emotional state with Karen? Yes. I don't think he was over her when he got with Fatima. I just think for his energy to always be on 10 with Aaron, is something is there. Whether Zach wants to deal with it or not, or whether Tyler acknowledges it or not in the character of Zach, it just doesn't make sense for him to be that like aggressive, in my personal opinion. But I do understand him having frustration with Fatima when it comes to, are you in love with Karen? Are you like just asking him? And she like, anytime I ask about it, you gonna answer me. I'm like, first of all, a lot of people don't want to admit it. And if you've been listening to my reviews, I've said this from the very jump. I don't like how there are certain times when Fatima is speaking to Zach, she is speaking down to him. She is being disrespectful. Whether, people want to admit it or not, she does. She definitely functions in the sense of, no, you gonna tell me what I want you to tell me. But when the shoe is on the other foot, I don't feel like talking about that. And you gonna respect that. That's how she does that. That's how she sons Zach, in my personal opinion. She sons Zach, meaning belittling him. Like talking to him like he's a child. That's why a lot of people would mention they feel like Fatima, she acts like she's Zach's mom. It's almost like that do as I say, not as I do type of thing. I want to know something, you tell me. You want to know something, I'll think about telling you. And that's how kind of, to me, a lot of things happen in their relationship. But Zach ends up calling Fatima Karen. And of course, there were so many excuses as to why he said that. Well, she keep asking him about Karen. He was saying Karen name already. Oh, whatever. We know Tyler Perry probably gonna water it down. That's the what happened. But I do. Well, I get into that when I talk about this. Karen and her mom. One of the major issues with Karen is that we see her on this emotional roller coaster. We may see an episode where she's acting like she got some sense, and then the next episode she is running amok. So of course she's a different person with her mother. She's calm. She's had time to rest. Her mom fixed her breakfast. They're talking, and basically Karen was like, I want to be over Zach, and I'm just like, you've been saying this, sis, for the past 2-3 seasons. You have not done anything to function in what you're saying. You have not done the work. You're not doing the work to get over him. Even though you speak it, you make yourself look like a liar because you're not doing anything to make what you speak line up with your actions. And she was like, I just want him to, she said something along the lines of, I just want him like to be a good dad to this baby or something like that. But then again, her mom was like, well, do you know if he's a dad? She was like, I don't really know. It's like, just, you don't know. You've already expressed that. You don't know if he's the father of this child. And so the mom asked her about Aaron. She was like, I care about him. I think he's a nice guy. But the mom was like, but you don't love him like you love Zach. So on and so forth. So Miss Lisa came up with this plan for Karen to write 2 letters. One to Zach, one to Aaron. Have them come over, and talk to them and lay things out on the table once and for all. In my personal opinion, I understand where Miss Lisa is coming from, but I don't think it's necessary. Her and Zach are over. Zach has moved on. Zach is with someone else. There is nothing left for them to discuss if it has nothing to do with him actually being the father of this child. I think sometimes speaking to an ex when you're not over them, it still opens up wounds. And it's almost impossible for those wounds to close. This person is constantly in your presence, in your face. I'm telling you how I feel. How Karen feels about Zach is none of Zach's concern. Is none of Zach's business. So I'm not a big fan of this plan. Even when it comes to Aaron, she's already told them how she feels is that people are not listening. She needs space. Aaron don't give space. He needs to fall back. Fall back completely until you know whether or not this is your baby. So I understand where Ms. Lisa is coming from. I'm not a big fan of it, but you know what I'm saying? We're going to see exactly what happens when it comes to this particular situation. We haven't seen Sabrina since I think the first episode. She was only on there for a few minutes. We haven't seen Maurice. I'm not crying any tears because of that. I just, so Sistas is coming back for season 6. The official announcement has not been made yet, but it will be coming back for season 6. And at this time, I was listening to some of my old reviews, and at this time, I'm just not understanding where this show can go. For those who have watched Zatima, I know a lot of people have not watched it. One of the things I liked about Zatima, I actually liked Zatima more than I enjoy watching Sistas. And one of the main reasons that I enjoyed it more is because the pace of the show. For those who don't know, Zach and Fatima are engaged on Zatima. The pace of the show moves along quickly. We don't have to wait 3 and 4 episodes for a new day to emerge. So it makes it better. You're seeing how things flow, and it's a better flow. It still got some repetition, dialogue, and things of that nature, but it's not as bad as Sistas. And when I watch Sistas, it's like this is the 3rd episode. We just ventured into a new day, which is on brand for Sistas. But it's like, after it becomes irritating because you want to see the progression of these people. And we see a character like Karen, and we watch Zach progress, get with someone else, move on, move in with each other, get engaged, all of this stuff like that. We see Karen, who is constantly pining away for a man who is engaged to another woman. We see Andy continuously to go back into this horrible cycle with Gary's abusive ass. And it's like, no, sis, come on. So it's like Tyler continued to put these women in these situations where it is a regression. to their character, to the plot of the show, to the overall success, in my personal opinion, and movement of the show. Because when you start looking at some of these comments, some of the same people who, oh, it's just a show, just enjoy it. Why? Now it's like, okay, I'm getting sick of this. I'm getting tired of this. I'm getting this. I'm getting that. And I remember, and that's why I always tell people, if you want to review whatever show you want to review, keep your opinion. If you don't like a character, damn it, you just don't like them. Damn what everybody else say. If it was something, I wouldn't even talk about Fatima, because she's not a favorite character of mine. It don't mean I dislike her, but because she's not a favorite, there are people who can't separate Crystal from Fatima. If I say I don't like Fatima, that doesn't mean that I don't like Crystal. I love all of them, and I'm glad that they are able to successfully fulfill their dreams and getting paid lovely while at it. And excuse me. And so it's just sad, you know what I'm saying, to see like these things happen, especially like with Andy, because we don't know much about these characters. We still don't know much about them, why they make the choices that they make, why they make the decisions that they make. Going back to Danny and Preston was like, oh, I left, but I'll come back so we can have dinner. I'm like, I love Trinity, but at this point, why the hell is he on the show? What is he there for? I'm going to come back and have dinner with you, so you really over me? You just told me you're going to marry someone else. You did that as a tactic to get me to tell you that I love you or I want to be with you. It just doesn't make sense. Excuse me. It makes no sense. So, you know, I would never not review the show, because I'm one of those people that when I start something, I like to stick to it. But Sistas has become a hard watch. It really has. I try to make the best of it. You know what I'm saying? And so sometimes you got to go deep, because what we're given is nothing. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I hope you guys enjoyed it. This review. I enjoy reading your comments and things like that. So I appreciate you. So until next time, I'm gonna come back with the preview for next week. That will be episode 4. I think it's called The Letter. And so, you know, we'll get into that and everything. So until next time, y'all be safe out there. I will holler at y'all later. One.